review of the top threads and comments and everything like that going on. Maybe not comments, but at least threads, and any kind of quick take on whether or not that's important or my thoughts on it. Okay, so let's get into it. Where are we? Let's head on over and just check out what's going on Reddit. So let's go top this week. What do we got going on? Yeah, this was pretty cool. First of all, I think there's a few threads on this week about the Cardano subreddit breaking through 100,000 subscribers. You can see, what are we at right now? 102,000 and 1.4. I think when I was back joining Cardano and first getting into Cardano earlier last year now, in I think it was June or July when I started getting into things more seriously, maybe made my first purchase. I think this was closer to like only like 60 or 70,000, maybe closer to 80. But I think the past recent pump with everything has caused a lot of interest. That's pretty cool. I'm glad to see that. It's always fun to be something that's growing. I was actually on this topic, not to whatever, I was quite surprised that some of these other chains don't have as large of a community, right? 4.2k, 247 online for Polkadot versus 102,000 and 1.4k online. So pretty cool for Cardano. Actually, this was something I was interested in. I tried to find this because I actually live within a train ride of Tokyo. When I have to go to the office, I go to an office in Tokyo. But I don't think this is really existing anymore. If I'm wrong on that, somebody can correct me, please. I'd love to be able to go down and buy ADA with cash and have it not be tracked or anonymous. And that kind of gets me into actually another thing. I think I have this on my desk someplace. I think on Twitter some of you saw I was making and designing these little let's see, will that focus? What I was calling them was magical fiat to ADA transformers. I have the final one that I made right here, printed in a clear PLA on the 3D printer I have. It's over here, and I'm happy to say that this has allowed me to acquire an extra maybe $200 every month worth of ADA, and I think it's a good practice. I used to be a stickler for using exact change, but now every time I pay in Japan, I think the smallest bill is 1,000 yen. I take all the coins, I stuff them in my pocket, and when I get home, the first thing I do is empty my pockets into this jar, or not jar, little bowl thing, and then at the end of the month, I go and I dump them in these automated ATMs that count up to 100 coins for you. So I have to make roughly sure that I have, usually takes me like 2 rounds to get that done. And then I send that over to my crypto exchange and buy ADA with it. Or I buy Ethereum and then I buy ADA after transferring to Binance, because the exchange I'm listed on doesn't have direct ADA purchases. There's a next one, turning my 1 Ethereum into ADA all in. Yep. I've seen a few of these posts too. It's interesting. I think in the past week or two, a lot of XRP people coming over. You can see that I think there's been some movement over here on Coinmarketcap. You can see we're moving up. I'll be pretty happy when we flip Ripple. I mean, since I've been involved in crypto since around 2013, 2012-ish, I think it was. Since I first really started mining Bitcoin and stuff like that, I've never, like many people, been a fan of Ripple, and it will just be quite a nice thing for me to see these things swap orders. So that'll be cool. Another 100,000 subreddit, another 100,000 subreddit. One thing that I think is pretty cool about the Cardano community, just because we're all on this, keep seeing these come up here, is that it's kind of unique that it's so kind of friendly and welcoming. I guess that's important when you're trying to build a community of people who are investing in something. But you know, normally, especially in like technically inclined forums, I'm used to more like RTFM type comments when people asking about how to stake, how to delegate, stuff like that. But you know, people make a really good effort to be welcoming and let new people into the community. I thought this was a pretty cool comment or thread here and over on Twitter. Just wanted to put this here, worth a discussion. So what are they saying? I like this Robert Breedlove's thing. Money is a tool, or simply a tool for moving value across space-time. Gold was great for moving value across time, but not space. Fiat currency is great for moving value across space, but not time. Bitcoin is optimized for moving value across both space and time. In case it's not clear, you know, gold basically is a hedge against inflation. It doesn't usually beat other assets, but it's a good kind of store of value, right? Which is the big thing that Bitcoin is kind of pivoted into, since it is no longer really thought of as a medium for transacting but more of a hedge against JPOW and the money printer goes burr. Pull that up. Maybe that goes a little bit into the good YouTube videos. Can I skip this? Crap. The whole one of my worries in crypto right now. Let's get a little bit of audio in here. Enough of that. You know, we've seen this rise over the past couple months over to what, 40,000 in woo, boom. You can see my little triangle I was drawing on Bitcoin Wisdom. But I'm a little bit concerned, not necessarily about Bitcoin, but we have all these assets, Tesla stock and stuff like that, right? That are just going through the roof, and they're all, you know, against the U.S. dollar. And part of my question is you know, are the value of these assets really rising, or is it just that the U.S. dollar is going to crap? And I have some interesting discussions with some of my investing friends on what that is, but yeah, it's a pretty interesting discussion going on over there. Guys, just want to say that subscribing here has significantly improved my overall Reddit experience. The high activity of this community has it so that whenever I come to Reddit for distraction, the top of my feed is a Cardano post, and I learned something else instead. Yeah, it's pretty funny actually. I made this Monad Pool account, right, for sharing things specific to Cardano with. Right, you might have seen some of my posts in here. Mostly posting some of that visualization stuff that I've been working on. And what's this saying? Yeah, my real Reddit account is much less popular. I think in the couple of years that I've been on Reddit, I've gotten like maybe 500 or 600 karma, no followers. I don't think I've ever received an reward, so that's pretty cool because I made this account just December 1st. So and in line with the comment that this guy is saying, right? What do you call it? I almost never log into my main Reddit account anymore, and I think it's actually quite good because all the stupid stuff that I was following on that Reddit account no longer is on my feed, and so I also waste a lot less time because this is the only subreddit that like this account is tied into, so it's the only thing I really see. Sometimes they try to recommend me some random subreddits that are kind of not really interesting, but I agree with that sentiment. What's next? Cardano becomes the most decentralized network in the world, overtaking Polkadot. I think what this is saying is that in terms of like market cap or what, 69% of the staking rate. Cardano is the most decentralized blockchain network in the world. What is this? Yeah, so they're talking about in terms of staked value. I think this is actually a pretty stupid way of talking about decentralization. This is not about decentralization. It's not a metric of decentralization. This is what percent of proof of stake, or what is the value, right, of the percentage of staked coins against the market cap for each coin. But it has nothing to do with decentralization. In a way it does, but if all of this was on a single server running in Frankfurt, then that's not decentralization. And this is a pretty kind of typical crypto fluff article that is probably not really worth your time. This is why I love this community. He's talking about people. I guess 6 days ago we were in a dip right before. Let's see if we can pull it up here. 6 days ago, yeah, 6 days ago looks pretty bad. And then maybe we're forming a little triangle over here, right? Doom, doom. Something like here. That's what that kind of looks to me. Pennant, but yeah, this is always a scary place to be, especially when in the weekly view, if we're over here, we're going almost straight up like that. I'm talking about Bitcoin just as a general what do you call it, tracker of the overall market sentiment. Another guy, this is the second guy this week, turning Ethereum into ADA. My mind's at peace. Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's pretty good. I'm pretty excited for this March, right? Goguen coming out, and I just saw Charles's AMA that maybe there might be another part of Goguen launching in Q2. So I'm gonna be curious about that, but I'm really positive about this opportunity and this window we have between now, or when Goguen launches and when Ethereum 2.0 launches. You know, that's kind of, for a lot of people, I think, make or break time for ADA, and or Cardano, I should say, not ADA. And it'll be really exciting to see if we can really capitalize on that. So that's part of the reason actually I chose to get involved in Cardano. Is I've been trying to teach myself Haskell for a couple years, and I'm halfway through this book. What is it? Haskell from First Principles. I really recommend this book for anyone who's trying to learn Haskell, or programming in general. This is a pretty awesome piece of writing. There was a little bit of drama in the publishing of it, but this is actually how I found Cardano. It was over on the Haskell subreddit, and I think there was a thread a while ago about what was it about? It was something like the controversy over IOHK funding a bunch of stuff, and what are the real use cases for Haskell outside of cryptocurrencies and esoteric fintech companies who don't usually share their work. But I think that's an interesting thing. I really like Haskell. I don't know if you saw, but let's see if I can do this. I use a operating system called NixOS, which you probably might be familiar with from some of the tooling around Haskell. Nix is a pretty popular thing. Not popular, popular in the functional programming community because of how it's set up and that kind of thing. Another convert, former EOS guy looking for a new home. I have it on tech, yeah, that kind of thing. New Epic 241. I always like the Epic rollover. I don't know if you guys know the classic Adam Sandler Billy Madison movie, but actually the Epic rollover is no longer the most exciting thing for me. It's a day and a half before a new Epic comes out. There's this thing, let's see if I can find it. Let's go here, CNCLI leader log. This command is quite useful actually. As a stake pool operator, you can run this on your block producer and find out whether or not you get any blocks coming. So like where do we go over here? Monad. Is this me? That's me. That was pretty cool for me, because you know, when I was waiting for my first block to happen back in Epoch 238, a day and a half before 239 came around, I found out, oh, we got a block coming. And then it was kind of like sweating bullets for me to, you know, see whether or not the pool would actually be able to mint the block, and it did, and it was awesome. And I was a sweaty mess sitting in front of my computer for an hour. I restarted all the block producer and the relays about the day before in the morning to make sure that, you know, we were kind of running semi-fresh. And then I was really surprised and really excited during Epoch 240 when I saw that we were getting another block. As you can see, I think on ADA pools, right? What are they calculating? That our ROA is at 8.69%. which I think is pretty cool. I'm pretty happy about that. And I like the tendency of this curve there. So that's enough about Monad. But yeah, that's just to say that it kind of greatly relieves my stress, that instead of watching and refreshing my pool all the time to see whether or not a block came in, that I can kind of check that. So that's cool. You might check with your pool operator, you know, a day and a half in advance. I've been thinking about publishing it. I've been kind of a little bit wary because, you know, on the flip side, if I'm assigned a block and I didn't mint it, do I want that to be that public? But I think in the interest of transparency, I'm going to start publishing my predicted block number, at least, if not time. And there's a reason for that, when I know it, just in the interest of transparency. We need to make a crypto social media that is decentralized. Yeah, there was, you know, all this deplatforming stuff. I saw Charles's reply to Jack on Twitter about what they're doing. It's going to be pretty interesting. And yeah, I'm not so caught up in this, so maybe I won't talk much about it. But I do kind of agree that this underlying infrastructure of, you know, I was okay with Twitter pulling somebody because I don't really care about Twitter, and I don't really care what private companies do, but I do understand that all this underlying, you know, AWS also pulling and everything, it's like it really limits your options on what you can do. And what was it, Parler being pulled from both the Apple and Google stores, and then even if you sideload it, AWS pulls the plug. Yeah, it seems like there's an opening for some kind of decentralized thing. I wonder, you know, if Cardano was hosting, or something like Cardano was hosting on this decentralized manner, and you had thousands of individual contracts with AWS, you know, I don't, even that I think would lend some level of, you know, inability for AWS to, not inability, but difficulty to crack down on shutting all that stuff down versus canceling a single person's account. Cardano's merry hard fork to offer native multi-asset support in February. Right, so this is something that I was talking to my friend about, like what he was asking, what's the difference between Ethereum or in Cardano, and I was trying to explain like these ERC20 tokens, which I was out of the crypto scene for a while, but it seems like a lot of chains kind of decided to create themselves through making tokens on Ethereum versus, you know, forking a Git repo, something like that. So one of the cool things about Cardano is that you can be a first-class citizen in a coin on Cardano, from what I understand. And ADA is just the first example of that. I do kind of get confused. I don't know if any of you know about it, but the use case of ADA in terms of, I've read that if you're a native token, right, you can pay your transaction fees in that token. And my current understanding is that if you either to do that or to pay your transaction fees in the non-ADA token, the ADA community has to vote on that and allow that to happen. But yeah, never stop pushing Cardano. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. We're talking about cryptocurrency. I don't see a whole lot of ADA talk in our cryptocurrency. And I think there's a lot of skeptics because of the development pace that, when did work start at 2017-ish or so on ADA, and it's kind of been in the background this whole time, which is one of the reasons I'm actually grateful that I came into ADA in June of this year. I don't know that I would have had the patience to go through all that kind of activity, and not to say I don't believe in it, but I'm just saying I can understand that people have been in this for a long time, and I'm just kind of grateful that I could come in right around now. I'm sorry that I didn't get in March when things were around 2 cents, but yeah, 8 or 9 cents, 10 cents is not looking too bad right now, so that's good. Charles Hoskinson tells Jack, yeah, this is what we were talking about earlier. That's interesting. I saw some other people say, like, we don't really need to be distracted by another thing. I kind of agree with that. I think, Charles's kind of rebuttal to that would be, he's not the only person. I think they say something like 200 to 300 engineers are working at IOHK. And so multiple teams working on different things. This shouldn't really take away from the Goguen kind of stuff that everyone is so worried about getting live. Fund 2 pence C. Yep, Fund 2. So if you're not aware of Project Catalyst, Cardano has this cool thing where that's not the site. Project Catalyst is the kind of platform for doing kind of fundraising and making proposals for things to develop on the Cardano blockchain. And I think around 250 to 500,000, something like that, US dollars equivalent of ADA is given away, and the community votes on it. And I'll be excited for Fund 3 because Fund 2 actually had a pretty convoluted voting process where you had to download a special version of Daedalus, restore your wallet into that, and then it was just kind of a mess. I think limited participation because of that, but it'll be interesting. I'm really hoping that Fund 3 has voting integrated into the mainline Daedalus client, because that will be cool. We are hiring a developer for Autoprism. If you're not aware, Autoprism is this kind of cool proof of identity type thing, I believe, on the Cardano blockchain. And I always kind of relate this to think of it as, or in relation to, I spent 3 years working and living in India, which has this giant Aadhaar database. I even have an Aadhaar card, actually. 1.26 billion people hold this ID card, and it's supposed to allow you to, through biometrics, either fingerprint or iris scan, verify that you are you. And there was some really cool stuff that was out in India. Like, I could open a bank account, and I could put in my Aadhaar number, and they would send me an SMS, and I could, put in that, and that would give me a provisional, I believe, access to this bank account. And then they would send someone out from the bank to my house or to my workplace. I remember meeting one of these guys on my lunch break, going out and putting my thumbprint in, and that completed the KYC, or know your customer, for my new bank account with that the bank in question. And I think it'd be really cool to have that kind of ability enabled in a decentralized way, because there's a lot of kind of privacy and whatever concerns about this database, and a lot of mistrust, but it'd be interesting. I kind of want to actually make a bridge to put that Aadhaar verification process, port that into Autoprism. I think that'd be a pretty interesting thing to do in India. Dear Cardano Foundation, it's time to step up. Yeah, I've seen, I saw this. You can actually see my vote there. I don't know how I've been voting on most of these, but I don't know why that's downloaded. Cardano Foundation has been getting a lot of flack until I think this recent CEO hire and chief of growth hire. They kind of seem like they went through an overhaul, but it's definitely seems to me, from my perspective, like there's more they could do. I've been pretty happy seeing the CEO and the chief growth officer making the rounds on YouTube, interviewing almost every tiny YouTube channel that has barely 100 or 200 subs. I think that's pretty big of them to do that, and I'm looking forward to see what they're gonna do going forward. I wasn't there for a lot of the time period where people were strongly criticizing them, but it's going to be interesting. I think now that there are things coming out, there were things coming out before, but now that there's so much capability coming out on the blockchain, there's a lot more space and freedom to operate for them. I don't know what this is, and I don't know why it was downvoted. DXL app. I'm gonna skip over this. Maybe I'll read it. Maybe I'll try it. My name is Hash. What is the DXL Network? Cross-chain platform for the token journey. It's interesting. I'm really interested in if anyone has any information on this decentralized fiat to crypto exchanges. I've used local bitcoins once or twice in the past, and I think what was the other one? It was like I had it on my phone for a second. It begins with a B, has a green logo, and you can make these listings or whatnot. But I've been thinking about how would one, I think it's related to Autoprism, where you have a reputation maybe, and you have these people who are basically acting as escrow kind of brokers in a decentralized way, and their kind of feedback and rating is what allows you to trust that if you send them fiat, they will release the crypto funds to you that you paid for. I think that would be pretty interesting, because I just feel like we're gonna have a lot of issues with on ramps to crypto with the coming kind of government regulation stuff that's going on in the States, and all these you have to register a wallet. Like, I think that's nonsense, that the government should be able to know exactly what wallet belongs to who. What attracted you to Cardano? I think I mentioned it earlier in this recording, is for me, I'd always wanted to make a blockchain project in Haskell because if you're not aware, Haskell is a purely functional programming language, and that means, without getting too technical, that when you give an input to a function, the output will always be the same. And the way it's able to achieve that is in Haskell, there is no such thing as state, or like setting a global variable where x can equal something like 3, and then let's say you have some other methods running that update what the global state of x is to cat or 7, whatever, changing that variable underneath you, and then something else happens, right? Because if x is equal to 3 in Haskell, x will always be equal to 3 within the kind of runtime of that program. We kind of say that it's immutable, and a blockchain is basically an immutable ledger, a public immutable ledger hosted online among other people. So it just made sense that you would write a blockchain in a purely functional programming language like Haskell. Charles Hoskinson hints at many deals, partnerships, dApps, and for 2021. Yeah. I kind of, with all due respect to Charles, I don't really care about hearing about these hints and deals. It seems like there's always some hint of a deal coming around the corner, and I'm much more interested in the announcements of deals. I think all this continued hype building around things that don't materialize, or like that Ethiopia stuff, it's better just to hold your cards close to your chest and announce things when you have something to announce, and don't worry about things when you don't. This was cool. I saw this hold on to your ADA big guys are coming. MetLife has published a prospectus or some kind of blockchain analysis. Probably hear my wife yelling at my kids. Oh. But on one of the pages down here, you don't see many of these where they actually mention Cardano or ADA, and we appear here. So it's kind of cool to see that we're getting some recognition among these institutional investors. I'll be pretty happy when Grayscale or whoever has a Cardano fund. Switzerland wants to implement EID, big chance. I don't know. I feel like when these things are announced, there's already stuff in the works, and I don't get it when people are like, we need to get this in front of Charles, or is the Cardano Foundation aware of this and bidding against this? Like, these things, my feeling is like when, I guess they're putting it to a vote, but if the Cardano Foundation is not already pursuing this, then it's probably a little bit late to get involved. New people coming in, always good. First winners of Project Catalyst. Looks like we got a nice chart down here. Fund 2 round recipients. This is what we were talking about up earlier. Probably should have just scrolled down here to see it, but these were the projects that won. There's one, I think it was the starter kit API from a Workshop Maybe. I really like their videos. I think they're pretty good kind of stuff for onboarding people into the community, or from a development community perspective. So and not just a developer community, but getting people started in programming and what it's going to mean to do Marlowe and Plutus and all that kind of stuff. The other kind of project I thought was pretty cool is this Ouroboros over Arena in Tokyo, and the Japan Governance Association. I'm based out of Tokyo, or not Tokyo, but Yokohama, and it's quite funny. I came into, like I said, Cardano via Haskell, and then I didn't know any of this backstory about Cardano being involved, or the initial offering being offered through or in Japan. And it seems like there's a lot of activity on Japanese Twitter, but the two communities do seem quite disconnected, and it would be great to see some kind of more bridge between the two. And I'm hoping Monad Pool can kind of facilitate that. I don't have the greatest Japanese, despite being half Japanese, but yeah. Convince me about Cardano from a software engineering perspective. I think that's I think this will be the last thing I review, because where are we at now? 1 day ago, top. What was it? Why do you want it? Haskell, Polkadot. Not to crap on Polkadot too much, but stuff like this. Ethereum client developer accidentally locks 150 million. I don't understand how people can trust or be involved in projects that have this scale of beep up because it's just a joke. How do you have any kind of ability to show your face at a conference and ask people for money when you've lost $150 million due to a programming? Like, what does that mean? Like, you don't have the controls or the code review in place to make sure that this kind of stuff doesn't happen. It's embarrassing, I think, not just for them, but for the entire crypto community, that this kind of MakerDAO and parody stuff, Polkadot stuff continues to happen. So I think that's enough of that. Like, that's to say, that's why I read this thread. Like, that's why you don't do things in these JavaScript and other nonsense languages. Yeah, I see he was talking about TypeScript, which is like more of a strongly typed kind of popular thing for JavaScript, subset of JavaScript, I believe, but uses typing, which is a very important part of Haskell. That relates back to the, just for those who don't understand what typing is in a lot of like Python, for example, which is probably the language I'm best in. Everything is an object, I think, and that means that x can start out, x is a variable in this case, x can start out as an integer, like the number 3, I keep using that, and then throughout the program, x can not only change the value of 3 to 7 or 12 or 21, it can change into a string, like the word cat or dog, or it can change into a more abstract object like what do you say, HTTP request session. That can be like a class of something else, and there's no bounds on what a variable can do underneath you, versus in Haskell, not only can it not change its value, it can't change its type. It is what it is, and you just have to move forward from left to right. You can ingest something and use it to create a new something else, right? Like let's say we had x is equal to cat, and then we wanted to, like count up the number of characters in the word cat. We would have to, we wouldn't store that in x, we would store that in another thing, a new variable, which was, the number of characters in the word, the word stored in x. So that's that. That's me. That's this for this week in Cardano. I hope it was fun for you. It was fun for me. I think next time we might do this a bit differently, depending on what the feedback is. I don't think I was paying attention to chat, because when I started streaming, and I had this on Twitch, the listening to my own feedback in the headphones was too distracting, and it didn't occur to me to mute it. So if you were chatting at me during the stream, I'm sorry I missed it. And next time I will be paying attention to chat while we do this, and I think that could be a lot of fun. So have a good night, have a good weekend, rest of your weekend, and I'll see you here next week for the next edition of This Week in Cardano, r/Cardano. Cheers.